guys, so welcome back to Lex Reads. Welcome back to Vlogmas. So in today's video, I wanted to do a recap of my book club, Lex Reads. It used to be called Unsung Black Book Club, but I wanted to kind of make it cohesive because you guys know my channel is Lex Reads. So I was like, you know what, let's kind of, again, make it cohesive. And again, with the same intentions I had before, I wanted to read books by Black authors, so we don't read nothing else except Black authors. And then also to wanted to highlight, Black books, Black authors that are again unsung. Now we have read like some popular, authors, and also like some new releases. But a lot of times I do like to find, and also you guys give me wonderful suggestions of books by Black authors where they're kind of like under the radar. Even if it is like a new book, a new release, sometimes, a new book, it might not get like, the praise and recognition as like another, new book or whatever. So we're still in that realm. But I wanted to share with you guys, again, like I said, the recap of this whole year of 2024. This will be the second year of the book club. I'll also put the recap of last year's picks too, so you guys can see. So before we get started, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So our first pick for this year, January, it was Long Gone Come Home by Monica Kilgore. Now this was a debut novel. This book also, I'm getting rid of it. It wasn't because it wasn't a good book, but like it's not a book that I would, no shade, but I don't find the need to keep it in my collection. I think we gave this book, was it maybe a 2 star or something like that? It's about a young woman named Birdie. Birdie, she has like, I think 3 sisters or something like that. Her mom is single mom because I think the daddy just ran out. And she ends up getting in cahoots with like this man that's kind of, he a little fast or whatever. And she's not used to that lifestyle because her mom does try to keep her and her sisters kind of like sheltered. Well, she ends up marrying the young man, has some children, and something happens. She witnesses a gruesome murder and she has to flee. Yeah, that's what it is. And yeah. Again, at first when I read the synopsis, I'm like, okay, this gonna be good. And when I start reading, I was like, I think the beginning the beginning was good, but then it kind of starts at middle end. It was like, Next for February, we read, which is one of my favorites. It's In West Mills by Deshaun Charles Winslow. I love this book so much. I think we gave this book a 3 to 4 stars. And this book, it's written by a Black male. And I always say that, even in the book club, I always, want to start implementing Black male authors because I just tend to read, Black females. But this one, I actually forgot a lot of times that it was written by a Black male. And this one, it's set in a small town in West Mills, Carolina, and I think that's a fictional town. But like everybody know everybody's business is real small, and you have a woman named Not, and Not gets around. Not just, yeah, she and every woman basically, but she don't care what people think. She does not. But there's some consequences that comes along with that because, yeah. And then there's her neighbor. What's her neighbor's name? Otis Lee. And Otis Lee is married with one son. And like they are really, really close, Otis Lee, where sometimes you would think, I don't know how I would feel about, my man being like best friends with a woman. But at the same time, Not don't have no feelings for that man at all. That's like, he just not her speed. And I think for her, even though she's kind of, she get around, I don't think she would cross that line with him because he's like more of a brother type basically. But him and his wife, they really do, cherish Not. They love her and they, try to guide her in every type of way. And basically that's like her only friend because, because she gets around and on a man like her, the women in the small town, they don't fool with Not basically. This, y'all, was really, really good. Now there is it's it's a second book that he wrote. I have not read it yet, but I remember when I found out that there were some characters that was in this book, I had to get it. It's called Decent People. It's actually in my little jar that I want to read, where I put the titles in. But there's some characters that are in this book that's in this book, but it's a different story. I do know that it is set in the same town. I think the main character for this one, she goes back to West Mills because there's some things that she wants to know about her fiance. It's like another little trifling man. But y'all, this 5 stars in my opinion. Okay, March we read The Stolen Daughter by Rashonda Tate Billingsley. Listen to, no, I don't own this book, but I did listen to an audio. This book was a no-go. We actually didn't discuss this book because I think I had like an impromptu meeting or something like that on the day, and I was like, and then I remember when and I remember with our email chain, we were like, basically, we didn't really like the book, so we could just discuss it, within the email, and we gave it like a 2-star. It's basically about a mother and a daughter. The daughter, it's a single mom, and the daughter always, I think the daughter asks about her father or something like that, and it's some secrets and some deception and lies and things like that connected to her father. And yeah, that's really all I can remember. This one was a no-go. I would not recommend this. I mean, I don't even have the book. So okay, so the month of April we read The Walls of Jericho by Rudolph Fisher. This was a book that was published during the Harlem Renaissance. And this was Rudolph Fisher's first novel. And I really don't even remember what this one was about. I didn't like this one. I don't think we rated this one well either. Um, the synopsis sounded like it was going to be good, but it actually was kind of boring. And that's rare for a Harlem Renaissance book. Y'all know Harlem Renaissance, that's my ish. And for a book to be boring during that time, yeah. You have a lawyer named Ralph. He buys a house in a white neighborhood. And the white people clearly don't like it. And what else? Oh, he got a next door neighbor? She, Miss Cramp or whatever her name is, she was a mess, okay? His housekeeper, Linda, she was on some nonsense too. You see, I'm trying to pull, what it's about. Basically, it's about a black man. He buys a house in a white neighborhood, and the white people don't like it, and they do some things that they have no business doing. We skipped the month because I waited too long in between that book, and I was like, you know what, let's just skip May and go to June. And June we read Bedrock Faith by Eric Charles May. This was really good. I believe we gave it a 3 to 4 star. I like this because first of all, it kind of reminded me a little bit of like 227. You guys remember the show 227 back in the 80s, where, you got them neighbors that they know everything. They always in people's business. And then I always like stories where, they have a community, a neighborhood that everybody nosy and be knowing people's stuff, because y'all know that drama and tea. But you have a young man, Stew Pot, right? Girl, he terrorized that neighborhood from like when he was a child all the way up to like teens, and he ends up getting arrested, and 31 years later he returns back home, but he is a changed man. He has found Christ, and when the people learn that he's coming back, they're like, oh Lord Jesus. It's been 31 years, so it's been some peace after he left, and he coming back, they just thinking it should go be a mess. But then he comes, and everything is different. He, again, like I said, he's a man of God, and they like, Stew Pot, you ain't fooling nobody. You not fooling nobody. And yeah, you just see all of the stuff that goes on. It's a real messy book, but I love it. And just again, the dialogue, I really like this book. Yeah, Stew Pot, it will make you feel some type of way, because it's just like all the stuff you did. And then he got a dog named John the Baptist. Lord. Next is July, and we read a historical fiction book. It's called Carolina Built by Kiana Alexander. First of all, this cover is so pretty. And this is actually about a real life woman, a real life black woman, a pioneer in her right, you guys. Josephine in Levy, I believe. She was a businesswoman that bought property. And this is post Civil War, and the fact that a black woman was able to do that. I mean, this lady had deeds and everything. She was married, and her husband and herself, they owned a barber shop. But the fact that this was a real life woman that has, like, she had property, and she had one of her properties was a storage building. She had what, a parking lot. I mean, this lady had, again, this was a pioneer in her right. And the fact that it was a black woman that owned this. I remember our discussion, we were just floored that we had never heard of this woman. And this woman, again, I keep on saying, a pioneer. I mean, this was a pioneer, and you don't know her at all. And her buildings are in North Carolina, and still to this day they have them up. Let me show you guys. There's some pictures that the author included. Josephine looked, and then this is one of her buildings, and it actually still has her name on there. um Here it is. It was really good. I would recommend it. Now, it had some parts where it's a little bit flat, but overall it still was good because you did learn about a real life person, and just, things that went on with her marriage, her personal life. And yeah, I mean, I would recommend it if you are in historical fiction. I would really recommend this book. Next is August, and our pick was The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat by Edward Kelsey Moore. This is good. I would give it a 3 star. I think we gave it a 3 star. The crazy thing is, the month that we read this book in August was also the movie that came out on Hulu, and it was really good. I would highly recommend that movie. I think I talked about that, and my August wrap up talking about the movie. So good. It stars Sanaa Lathan. Who else? Ingenue, Ellis Taylor. You have a story about three girls during the 60s. They coin each other, the Supremes. And each of them has like a situation going on. Clarice, she is a pianist, and she married her like high school sweetheart, but he has been unfaithful since the time that they got married, basically. Even before the time they got married. And she gave up her, you know, she had a scholarship because she was like a classical, like she was like a prodigy, basically. And she gave it up, for him and for, raising their children. And she's just dealing with that because, again, he is a serious cheater. Then you have Barbara Jean. Barbara Jean, her life has always been hard. She had a mom that really drank a lot. Her mom was kind of loose, and her life just hard, and some tragedies happens with her in her life. And then lastly, you have Odette. She is like the matriarch of the friendship, and she's real tough. She's dealing with a situation in her life that it's very difficult. And again, like I said, she's like the matriarch. She holds, the friendship together. You get, present time and past time, so you see how they were when they were younger, and then you see, like, how they are now. And again, this book was really, really good. They did a fantastic job with the movie. I would recommend seeing the movie. They didn't actually leave a lot out. No, and the things that they did leave out, it wasn't like a big deal or anything like that. So yeah, I would highly recommend the book and the movie. Next is September, and we read Country Place by Ann Petrie. And this one, I think we gave it a 3 star. It was okay. This was the second book I've read by Ann Petrie. You guys know she's known for the book The Shriek, which that she was like the first black woman to sell over 1 million copies, and that was like in the 1940s. And but I was really excited that we did pick this book because, again, when you do, mention her name, people only think about The Shriek, and she has more books. I think she has like 4 or 5. But this is about a couple. You have the young man, what was his name? Johnny. Johnny fought in World War II, and he's come back home, You have his wife, Gloria. Johnny thinks that his wife has been not faithful to him, while he was away. And she actually lives with his parents, and she got a little, mediocre job. And she really don't love Johnny, basically, but she had to get her out of her situation. Her mama one of them mamas where she didn't really want to have no child, and she just kind of didn't treat her right. So Johnny comes back, and she kind of like, oh, I don't want to deal with you, basically. But it's like, you're still married to him, and also you live in his mom and daddy's house. And then him coming home and having those people just like gossip and talk, it makes him even more suspicious of what's going on within his marriage and his wife and things like that. If you are wanting to read something different when it comes to classic literature, if you want to read a different, black woman author, not just the same, I would say pick up Anne Patrick. Also, too, I would say for this book to be written in the 40s, I believe, it was 47. It was very modern. Sometimes I felt like, that this book was published like today. Okay, our October pick was Wild, Beautiful, and Free by Sophronia Scott. This is a historical fiction novel. It also is a slavery theme novel. You guys know how much I love slavery theme novels, and this was really good. We rated it about a three star. You have a young woman where she was born into where she actually was kind of born a little privileged, because her father, who was clearly the white plantation owner, he really did love her, and she was actually able to live in the big house, and she was able to read and write and things like that. Well, he passes, and the mistress can't stand her, and she like sells her into slavery. And granted, the young woman Jeanette, she's never been enslaved. She knows clearly about it, but like she's never had to do any of the hard labor. And so she becomes a slave, and she sees the harshness, and she ends up running away, escaping, and she starts to teach. And yeah, there was a particular twist in this book that I really, 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 really did like, and that's where the book was really, really interesting, because you would have never thought that. Okay, next is our November pick, and it was One Summer in Savannah by Tara Shelton Harris. I really did like this book. It was a story that I had not come across, had not read before. And I think we gave this book we gave it a 3 star, I would say. At first, in the beginning when I was reading it, it was like a 4, and then went back to a 3. But you have a young woman, what was her name? Sarah. When she was 18 years old, she was raped, and she conceived a child, and instead of aborting it or giving up for adoption, she kept it. But she ended up leaving Savannah, and some years later she comes back because her father is very, very sick, and no one knows. Only thing people know in Savannah is that she just left, but they don't know that she had a child. And also, the young man that assaulted her, his family was like well-to-do family, and it crushed their family because of his poor decisions. But the child's family, they end up finding out he has a twin brother, and the twin brother ends up finding out that there is a child involved. And the little girl, Elena, she is a child prodigy. I mean, smart as a whip. And so he says, I want to basically, help her. And so Sarah says, well, you can be in my child's life, but you cannot tell your mama, your brother, nobody. Okay. Otherwise, I'm done. And that's what he does. He agrees to it. But there was a little romance that I wasn't kind of down with within the book, because I kind of thought it was, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, especially if you haven't been in a situation like that. If you haven't been violated, thank the Lord I have not. So sometimes I feel like, girl, you need to be quiet, because you don't know what you might do in a situation. You know what I mean? But Yeah, I didn't know about that part, but overall, I would highly, highly, highly recommend this book. And I would also say, with the subject matter, this is not a hard book to read at all. Tara did such a good job where she doesn't even really go into detail. Actually, she doesn't go into detail of the attack, because clearly this girl was assaulted. I mean, she was raped. And I love that Tara didn't harp on that. Of course, you got to mention it, but that's all she did. So, like I said, I never read a book where young lady had been assaulted, and you always wonder about the aftermath, and like what happened to them, how do they feel, and then the fact that you had a child, that a child was brought into this world like that, and you just want to see their dynamic. Yeah, this book was really good. I would recommend this book. I honestly would. And then our last book for this month, December, we are reading These Ghosts Are Family by Maisie Card. Now, I am currently on page 74, which I need to hurry up because we're about to have a discussion in a little while. I'm liking it. But this was a debut novel. This is also a Jamaican author. You have a young man named Stanford. Stanford, he fakes his own death. And like when he's in his 60s now, he is like wheelchair bound, and he finally wants to tell his story, his side of what he did, why he did it. Right now I am at the part where he's just telling his story of how he was who he was before he became a whole different person. He ends up stealing his friend's identity or whatever. So yeah, so far, like I said, I really do like it. I do remember when this book came out. I did want to get it, but I was being cheap and I didn't want to buy the hardcover. So I was going to wait, for the paperback. And usually that's like a year. And then I forgot about the book. And then I think last year I showed you guys a book haul, and I actually got it from a store called Ollie's for only $4. So I was like, oh yeah, I was meant to have this book. So yeah, guys, that is the recap of this year's book club pick. It was a really good year. We had some some good books. We honestly did. A lot of them were, 3 to 4 stars. We had some that we didn't really like. I would say though, my favorite this year was our February pick, which was In West Mills. This was really, really good. Again, I would recommend it, and I can't wait to read his second book. So lastly, let's talk about the 3 Christmas songs that I will be listening to today. We are getting close to Christmas, man. The first Christmas song I'm going to be listening to today is Jackson 5, Give Love on Christmas Day. Again, love the Jackson 5's Christmas album. It's the bomb. Next, again, Destiny's Child, Spread a Little Love on Christmas Day. You already know Destiny's Child is in rotation for Christmas. And lastly is Vicki Winans' Mary Did You Know. Vicki can blow, and when you listen to Mary Did You Know, it's amazing. But yeah, guys, that's all I have for you, and I'll be back with more Black Books.